that it's my pleasure to introduce you. Linda Nyongesa Ogutu is a counseling psychologist, a character coach, and wellness coach. Yes. And this character coaching thing is something that is very intriguing because we've also heard of character development. We've heard of different other things. So we are pleased to have you, and we'd like to give you the mic so that you can take it up and share with us this sort of intelligence that we've not thought about. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Paul. I'm also laughing because you have introduced me as Linda. I am
Sorry,
Nora.
Nora, sorry. You know, there is another Linda Ogutu whom I chat a couple of times. So I'm thinking, sorry. Yes,
It's
Nora
okay. No
Nyongesa
worries.
Ogutu. Yeah.
So I'm also happy. Yes, indeed, you've said I'm a practicing counseling psychologist. Currently, I'm practicing as a hospital psychologist. And also what I love doing the most is being a character coach. And I say character development. Is character coach where we build on your traits. We build on your traits to make you a better person, to allow people to make you flourish and thrive. And my passion is usually for Vijanas, because I know society always say Vijana ni wa kesho. But I usually say Vijana ni wa sahi, because if we do not build these people, these Vijanas are the ones who are going to be our leaders. They are the ones who are going to be the presidents, the politicians. And currently we are seeing what is happening in our country. If we do not deal with it now, we'll always be complaining. So part of what maybe I didn't share is I'm also a founder of Jijue Kushamiri. It focuses more on building resilience and a mind gym, because most of the time we do focus on the negative side of the things. So if the things happen are negative, what can we get out of the negativity or out of the bad experiences? That is where Jijue Kushamiri is there. So I'm that founder, and we do a lot of education. We do monthly education for everybody, and our focus is the youth and adolescents and the workspace well-being. So that is me in a nutshell. And I am so very happy to be here. I did it intentionally after being requested by Kathy Njore. I'm sorry for the audience. I have a presentation, but my screen has decided to do what it does best when it's needed the most. But nevertheless, shall continue, because the goal is passing the information. The goal is maybe getting to know what this is all about. So having said that, maybe if we can start, when people hear of social media for instance, when we heard of social media intelligence, what did anybody think about it? Like, what did you think social media intelligence is, or what does it mean to you as a person who's listening? I love it if people would respond to this, so that we can start from a point of knowing.
We can put things in the
We
chat,
can chat,
just to,
yeah? We
yeah,
can chat.
so that we are able to manage the crowd. Let's
The
just put in the
time.
chat. Yeah, personally, I part of what came to my mind was making decisions, or wise decisions, as far as um, social media is concerned. And I think perhaps getting to know how it affects our emotions and what we may
Yeah.
unintentionally end up doing.
And ideally, when I was doing this research, everybody where there's social media intelligence, you see, it talks about, most of it talks about analyzing data, looking at what the security, you see how the intelligence officers do their thing. So it's all about what the intelligence people are doing. But now my focus for social media intelligence is basically the media that we use, the conversations that we have. Like, if I'm to ask, people can still chat in their favorite social media tools. What are they? you know, so that it can be more interesting. For me, a session is more impactful if people are able to relate to the content. Because I know I got a text when somebody was asking me, can I bring my children? So I was like, depending with the appropriateness of the content. So if you're able to know this is the context that we are having, then it will make more sense of what social media intelligence is. A kind of interactive session. So maybe as you are going on, I don't know, people can just see, yeah, what are your favorite social media platform? Thank you. So as we are continuing with that, using this, what is it? The definition from APA. APA is the American Psychological Association. The challenge we are having up to this time, when we started this session, I've heard Paul said most of the things they are getting from the Western world. But you see, we are getting it from the Western world because us as a community, we are here to do something for our people. Even the research, as I was trying to really take a lot of what is happening in the social media field, what is happening for us, I could not find most of the tangible data of social media. They were all, could you enable me to share with this other screen, please? So they were all about the Western world, But in the Western world, they are really doing a lot for their people. They're really doing a lot for their people. So you'll find for them, they're already having research of what can be done, what has already affected the people. Because according to the APA definition of social media, according to that, it is social media, it's an online community using internet to communicate. So if you're using internet to communicate, then why is it that this internet is becoming a concern? Why is it that it's becoming a concern to us? Okay? Because now this becomes an issue for us to talk about. It becomes an issue for us to understand what can we do about this. Okay, so why does it matter for us, for real? Why does it matter for us? In the real sense, give me a minute. So does social media really matter? Because if social media was developed, you see, the world is revolving. When I used to be a small girl, I used to see poster. You know, when I was in high school, if I want to communicate to that and I'm broke, I used to take, okay, it's a bad thing. You find people used to take the post office? They used to be called the stamps. You recycle the stamp, then you send the letter. But nowadays, in an instant, anybody can get the communication. So it means for social media, comes with the purpose of sharing the information. It comes with the purpose of learning. It comes with the purpose of staying informed and education. But if that was the purpose, then why is it becoming harmful to us? Why does it really matter for now? Sindio? So even as we are continuing this question, ask yourself, has it ever reached a point where you are using internet? You know, you are saying, acha ni drive tu kidogo, let me just browse a little bit for a few minutes or 5 minutes. By the time you realize, 2 hours have passed on the same seat, on the same position, doing the same account. And I've seen people have posted their favorite social media account. Imagine yourself in that social media account. Then you've told yourself, I have only 5 minutes of resting. Let me just do it. Or sometimes you are in a public vehicle. Then you tell yourself, let me just go through this social media. Let me go through this account. Alafu, you find yourself, you've already forgotten to alight where you're supposed to alight. Have you ever found yourself in that position? You can continue typing in. I'll be posting for you to reflect, then you answer. Then after you do that, how do you feel about it? You know, how do you feel about it? Sorry, I'm putting off my video because I'm keeping on looking at myself so that I can concentrate on you guys. So you find, how do you feel after having spent all that time on social media? Then you had planned to do something else. Well, you had told yourself, I'm only doing it for 2 seconds, for 3 seconds. Before you realize, 3 hours. Then what is it that you look at? And what is it that makes you keep there? What is it? You know? And how do you feel after that? You see, when you have this, then you are able to understand, why do I need social media intelligence? So I have to clarify that whenever you're going for social media intelligence, of what is around is analyzing data or checking, the intelligence, what is it called? The security intelligence, the data protection policy. I'm focusing now on the social media, the favorite social media that you have posted that you use. So that's my focus for this session. So then, having answered that, we continue with that. You've told yourself, I'm only going through this for 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, I'm leaving it. I'm going to do other things. By the time you realize hours, after some time, I remember there's a time it was a weekday. I had promised myself that I am going to sleep early to rest. But by the time I realized, I was on TikTok until 12 midnight. It was a very bad feeling for myself. Ningekuwa na kiboko ningejichapa, because I asked myself, was it really fair for me? Was it really necessary for me to do that? Because I was not doing anything important apart from moving from video after video. I tell myself, I'll sleep after this one. But before I sleep, another nice video comes. I move. By the time I realize, it is 12 midnight. So have you found yourself in that position? If yes, then ask yourself why. If not, congratulations. In fact, if Paul had a kayamba, I would have told him to beat that kayamba for you, because that means we need you to show us an example of what happens, of how you can control it, right? So this is the reason why. Because already research has been done on it, on people, of why it's happening. You see, there's something called a dopamine effect. In the scientific world, dopamine is a neurotransmitter. It is a pleasurable hormone that when you do something, it gives you an excitement, you want to do it again because it's rewarding you instantly. You feel nice. When you watch a video, you feel, hey, this is nice. You watch another one, this is nice. And it's no wonder, it's the same chemical that is produced that produces addictive behavior. For the addiction to be maintained, that dopamine has already been altered in the brain function. Because for everything to run systematically, there needs a balance. If the balance is distorted, then something will not work out right. So that is what happens in social media. You get the excitement, you continue. You feel nice, you continue. By the time you realize, your brain function has been altered. And I was surprised to know ICD-11 is a diagnostic tool for doctors. For psychologists, it's called a DSM-5. I'm yet to see it there. But for the doctors, they use International Classification of Disease 11, is a version 11, where they are now classifying internet use disorder as a disorder. Before something is classified as a disorder, it means it has altered your functioning. It has altered your daily functioning, that you cannot be able to do the things as you used to do normally. And that is what happens with addiction. You are not able to do that the way you used to do. So when you boost your dopamine, when your dopamine level is boosted by internet, that's when you feel you can function, because dopamine is a happy hormone, but produced systematically. It rewards you. So you see, by nature, humans want to be rewarded. We want to feel appreciated. We want to feel happy. So we get every time you feel like, this thing is making me feel nice, you go for it. If people are angry, somebody goes on the internet, then you'll find always they're looking for videos. They say, this is me. So you see they are posting. Have you ever seen some people's statuses, or maybe Facebook accounts, or maybe Insta accounts, where they are posting? Then they are like, they will see. So when somebody sees that rush, that dopamine rush, they like, now they have seen, you feel happy. If they're not seen, if somebody has not liked your status, or somebody has not watched your status or seen your status, feel, what is that feeling? Like, are they not seeing what I'm posting? Are they not appreciative of what I've posted? So it gives, the brain continues, it's a human nature for that. But yet there's still research going on adaptability of the mind and the brain. Because as it says, the human brain is plastic. It can be able to adapt, it can be able to learn, it can be able to relearn. But now where the question is, how is this social media affecting the human mind? How is it affecting the human brain? How is it affecting our behavior as humans? How is it doing? How is it? But no, you see, people have to be aware of how it's doing it, because this, for instance, see, whenever you're using social media, what is your sitting position? Okay, what is your sitting position? How is your mind behaving compared with when you are not using the social media or the internet? Sawa? And then we are seeing it at both sides of the coin. Because if it's to educate, to learn, to be informed, and to entertain, then why is it becoming a talk? Why is it becoming a concern? And it's a global concern. So it's a global concern, but for us, for African, I think most of the time we use the Western researchers. Maybe it reaches a time where we need now to have our own research. We need to have our own neuroscientists. We see what is it that is happening with us. Though I know even as we are continuing, there are still positive effects and the negative effects. So for instance, the impact of social media on well-being, because anything that affects your well-being, it affects your relationships and it affects your performance at any level. So one thing that has been found on research is evidence-based, is anxiety. Anxiety being, there's that social expectation, there's that social comparison, and the communication. Because we are looking at social media. In social media, there's that social media identity. We are only seeing the best part of people's life. Not very many people will post when they are eating. Not everybody, some yes. Not everybody will post when they are really tamacking. Not everybody will post when they are having the hard times. But people are posting the good things in life. Look at LinkedIn. LinkedIn is for professional, So for the professionals, you'll find somebody will not post when they are broke or when they are having low times in their career. They post when their career is at their best. They post when they have been able to achieve something, you see. And when that is done, you see, there's that expectation. Will I have likes? Will I have people following me? Because social media is all about followers. Whichever media you are in, if there's no followers, there's that anxiety that comes in because it starts with stress. That question is, Is there anybody who's appreciating what I'm doing? Then you're looking at what others are doing. Why am I not doing what others are doing? What is it that I'm lacking to do? Then with that, we forget we have different callings, we have different purposes in life, we have different goals in life, but yet social media being a community center, it has made the whole world be a small village because we can communicate with people from far away. So whichever platform you are in, if you the question that I asked before, when you find yourself on social media, what do you feel afterwards? When you see maybe your age mates, people whom you thought like, well, we are going on together, but you see social media, somebody posting, I've been on this country, I've been on that country, I've achieved this is my family. What do you feel about it? Then again, there's a favorite of fear of missing out. You don't want to miss out of what is happening. You want to know of the latest trend. So we get trends from each other. This is the trend that's going on. The trend of the dancing style, the trend of what people are posting. So there's the search engine. So you look at the search engine, especially those who are in TikTok or this Insta, you look on the search engine, you say, like you go, if you want to have followers, look at the search engine. So you go check out the search engine. If it's mental health, you go pick, this is what is going on, then you post. Then when you post, there are no followers, there are no people liking, there are no messages, depression sets in because you're like, I'm doing everything. I have to meet the algorithm, I have to meet the algorithm. If you don't meet the algorithm, you are like, what is it I'm doing wrong? You see, that's when depression starts in, the social media depression, because of the social media presence and the comparison. And again, you see, even on well-being, they usually says, if you have a strong personality, then be on social media because cyberbullying is real. If somebody doesn't like you on social media, they just start a trend to make you feel bad. And it's there, it has been evident. People bully each other on social media. People expose each other on social media. Then what is the effect that gets after that? What is the effect of that person? What is the effect of their family? And how does it affect their relationship? And how does it affect the society at large? Because remember, we've said this is a small village. And even currently, if employers want to know about you, they only go on your social media. So how is it impacting you as a person? How is it impacting you as a society? Because for us to deal with anything impacting a society, then we have to start at me level. We have to start at me level. And believe you me, it does not only affect the younger generation, it is across the lifespan. You see, nowadays, even if you find small children, the small children, they start crying, they are given phone. When they are given a phone, they just play with the phone, they go with the cartoons. That's a small age. But you'll find even nowadays, even the social media, you'll find nowadays there are even children on social media, there are even children on TikTok. Sometimes they just play with their parents' phone. You'll find they'll do that. In the older generation, they have to cope up now with the younger generation because it's inevitable. It's inevitable that we have to use social media. Because I remember long time when we didn't have smartphones, we had those kadude phones. And life was simple, just SMSing. WhatsApp was not viable in, I think Kadude didn't, I don't know if it had WhatsApp. It was very simple life. So it was okay. But now, even when you're given those Kadude phones, even me personally, that's where I started. But you'll find it will be even hard for me to use that Kadude phone. And you see, there was resistance when there was smartphone. There was like me, I will not use the smartphone. Let me just stay with this Kadude phone. But it's involving and it's inevitable. So whether it's likable or not, social media is here to stay. So if it's here to stay, how then can we use it for it to make an impact, a positive impact in our society? Look around even for the younger generation, for the adolescents, as people are developing, now they're developing with social media. How is it affecting growth of people? How is it affecting the behavior? And how is it influencing conformity? Because when I'm saying across the lifespan, the behavior of the people, is it bringing people together or is it isolating people together? Okay, what is it doing from where you are standing? What have you seen that is happening? For behavior also, you'll find some people use it, as you've said, it can bring addiction, addictive behavior. So you'll find some people, whenever they're going through some issues, some emotional issues, if somebody is not able to deal with the issues, they are using social media to cope. So you'll find somebody gaming, you'll find some people just on the net scrolling. It gives them a way of fulfilling that emotional need. So that is why there some people cope with emotional eating, some people cope with substance abuse, so others are using now social media as a way of coping. So it ends up changing the behavior. And anything that changes the behavior to the negative or to the positive, it is matters to do with well-being, because it starts with the thought process and goes to the emotion. Then what we see now is the behavior of the use of using the internet. And all that it means, even the physical activity is being affected. Why? Whenever we are using social media, it means we are sitting in one position for long. We are not moving. We are just using our eyes. And as we are using our eyes, there is a connection with the sensors, with the brain. So the brain is just getting overstimulated. You see, it's getting overstimulated, which again affects our lifespan. So I'm here to see research that it shortens or prolongs lifespan, because you see there's also a benefit effect of social media. You see, they are good and they're bad. So also you'll find the peer influence. It's real. We want to conform with what we are seeing. And it doesn't matter it does not matter if it's either a younger generation or an older generation. If it's an older generation, you want to tell your children, do this like the others are doing, or like what others are doing. I also want you to do the same. You see, some parents pressure their children, some children pressure their parents, some husbands pressure their wives, some wives pressure their husbands. It's vice versa, because that's why I'm saying it's across the lifespan, depending on what people are seeing. Okay? So I don't know for you, what have you seen in social media? You can just continue posting so that you can also internalize what is being shared. Well, as we've said, there's the other part, there's always a positive impact. In anything, there's the both sides of the coin. The good thing is there is, because it's meant for connection, it is made like a small village where we can connect with everybody. So the good thing is there's social connection. Like now we are connecting, you know. I also know there is digital education. When I don't know if it's happening with CBC, but in some places there is digital education where you can use digital media to boost education, to make education fun, to make it easy to learn, even to learn languages. You know, like if you want to learn a new language, you just need to go to a some social media, then get to know the language, get to understand. Even for the small children, they can learn, because you'll find nowadays, the generation that is in the Gen Alpha, Most of them learn to speak quickly through social media, through the cartoons that they watch, because anything that is used to communicate through the internet, it is social media. Another positive impact is branding, because nowadays you'll find long time ago, if you want to market yourself, you had to look for either a newspaper, you pay a lot of money, or look for a mainstream media, you pay them a lot of money. But nowadays with social media, if you don't have money, you just use social media to market yourself. But where the effect is, if you're feeling you've really marketed yourself, but nobody is seeing you, that's the bit that I was saying about anxiety. But if it's branding, sharing your products, that's where you get people they can take you to market their products. They can take you to get big deals, to make big deals with it. And it's also good because of learning. You see, if I want to learn something about globalization, I can just go through the internet and get to understand what is going on in the world that we are in. You see, it's also good. It depends on what we do about it, on how we use it. Remember also if it's like remember the Gen Z mandamanos, it only took social media. So even social media can be used to communicate, but depending on what you're communicating, right? Depending on what you're communicating. And something that I know we can't miss to talk about is the AI evolution, because AI evolution, whether we want it or not, it is here with us. It is here with us because it's still part of social media. And nowadays, each app has an alignment of an AI. So that AI is an evolution where things are becoming easier, things where we thought is so hard, it makes information available. But the question is it the information I need, or how is this information helping me, or how am I using this information? Okay, how am I using this information? And the truth is, will this AI make me extinct? Will it make me extinct? Because now that's another impact that we need to have. Because even with AI, it has developed many tools, especially for learning, for things that people maybe thought this is hard to learn. So they learned it through AI. So whichever thing is, we look at both sides of the coin. Is it an impact that I can use it positively, or is it I can use it negatively? That is why you make a choice. So as I take a glass of water, why do we engage in social media? Why would I choose, let me go for this favorite social media? Maybe if you could respond to that, you as a person, why would you just choose, I'm going for this social media? Because I know so time is catching up with us. Okay, so as you're thinking about that question, we'll go to the next slide. So COVID was here with us, and an element where social media came to the limelight, it was through COVID, because people were landlocked, families were separated, jobs, most of the people lost their jobs. Even therapy, physical therapy was not possible. The people who are in school, they could not go to school. But social media was there. I think for me, it's a time where social media became alive, because now people started, take you per step, people started now communicating through social media. It's when different apps came in. It is when now people realized even this social media, we can use it for our good. You see? So you see, everything, COVID made an impact, a lasting impact. It can be either positive or negative, but it made an impact, because even right now, people will say, I lost my job through COVID, but through the internet, I used TikTok. This is how I got my breakthrough. I was listening to some content creator who was saying during COVID, things were tough. I didn't have a job. So I just thought, why should I do something with what I have? You know, the way Moses had only a stick, and that stick is what God used to salvage Israel. That is what people chose to do. And it became alive because people now started doing so. I can use social media. I don't have to complain that I don't have a job. But now this effect is, as people are using social media to market themselves, to create context, the anxiety bit comes. I've created content, I don't have followers, I've not seen somebody who's supporting my content. Then some people do different content. Then it also came a time where it was the limelight where people, when we wake up at night, the TikTok live really had crazy stuff, that it also brought a red alarm. It also brought a point where it has to be regulated. You know, I know I was reading the research articles in the US. They're really doing a lot concerning social media, especially across their lifespan. And for across their lifespan, because especially for the growing population up to the adolescence, their brains are still developing, because at that point is when the emotional brain is high alert than the thinking brain. So when the social media comes in, the internet comes in, it kinds of, the research has shown, is kind of interferes with that that balance. So that's why they're coming with policies on how to regulate this social media. But the question is, how can we regulate it? How can we regulate it? That when it comes with digital well-being, okay? It comes now with digital well-being. How can we do this? How can we as a people do this? Because we are the ones doing this. And sometimes talking alone doesn't make a difference. Talking alone doesn't make a difference. It is us doing the action. The action starts with you. So ideally, you'll find whenever we're going for social media intelligence, when I was trying to get this tangible research data, evidence-based, most of the research is about data protection, about the information you're giving out, about the security of a country. But I'm still specifying it. When we are talking about this, we can't miss to talk about the online safety of our own, the authenticity of the information you are getting. If you are to give out information, if you are to share out a video, if you are to share out a meme, do you know the authenticity of the information? Or do we know why the person is sharing that kind of information? So that is where it comes, even when we are online, when you're having online, digital safety begins with us. As we're having our own children, as we're having our brothers, or maybe our friends, the protection or the well-being starts with us. So before you share the information, how can you certify that this information is true? And how do we know this true information? So that's where there is data. I know in Kenya we have data protection policy. Is it data policy 2019? So this one, somebody can go read through it. And each country has their own data protection on how you use social media, because everything you post, the poster is the one who will be responsible, will be accountable, because it will be on your page, okay? It will be on your page. So in digital well-being, how can you take care of your digital well-being, and why does it matter? I know I'm almost done. Because now having known all that, this is where we come. Does it really matter? Does our digital well-being matters? If we are connecting, I know there are avatars. So sometimes you talk with somebody with an avatar. We don't know even who we are talking to. Nowadays, you just get followers. Then when you get a follower, you are happy. Like, I have gotten new followers. But most of them are avatars. Most of them are using other people's thing. So when we come to digital well-being, why does it matter to us? So remember, well-being, the aspect of well-being is the whole dimension of health. It comes with financial health. So if you're coming to financial health, how does it matter? One thing, there's always internet because it is internet-based. We are talking through the internet. So how does it affect your well-being when it comes to financial matters? How much are you spending in the digital arena? I know some people, we need internet to survive, because for me, I need internet because I'm also in social media. I need money to purchase internet so that I can be able to educate. I can be able to do research. I can be able to see what the global world is doing, So how am I taking care of my well-being financially when I'm using the digital space? I also know nowadays there are apps. All the phones have apps where you can monitor your screen time and your digital well-being. Because how much time, as I was reading, the research was saying, is it 49 billion people, 4.9 billion people spend their time in social media. And in one day has 24 hours. In 24 hours, when it's multiplied to minutes, an individual person spends 145 minutes a day on social media. So how is it affecting your well-being? So that is financial aspect. Then there's physical aspect. When we spend our time on digital media, it means on social media, we spend time on the same position, only turning. When the position feels like I want to turn, you turn, but the same spot. Then remember, even if the digital is okay, because we order food. It has made life simple. You just dial, food is brought on your doorstep, we eat junk food, then we continue doing the digital space, whichever that we are doing. So ask yourself, what time do I spend on digital media, and how is it affecting your physical well-being? So when it's your physical well-being, remember, even for well-being as a whole, for your health, you need physical activity. Physical activity means the body gets to rest, you get to change the environment. It brings about the endorphins, that's the happy hormone. It also makes the body become active because it stimulates the brain in a healthy way, So it also means you're able to sleep well on time, because when you're using now the social media, we're spending our far much time on the screen. So even when I'm saying this, it's across the lifespan. So you can imagine what it does to a developing brain for younger children, for any generation. So it alters the sleep patterns. So the brain becomes active. So ideally, whenever we are talking about sleep hygiene, it means the body needs when you're sleeping, you need to set a specific time of sleeping. And when you're setting that time, no digital things you're supposed to have on that. Any digital, I'm trying to use a word, this word is disappearing. Gadgets, yes, thank you, the gadgets. So it's usually say for a sleep hygiene, whenever you're going to sleep, do not use the digital gadgets when you're going to sleep. Get some few times, leave it, so that the brain can be able to rest. Otherwise, when you're doing that, we are stimulating the brain, then we are telling the brain, when I'm going to sleep, I need the screen to watch. So the scientists have said the screen has some blue light, which distracts the brain activity. Because when you're going to sleep, there's a normal diurnal range, and the brain, there's also the cortisol level decreases so that the body can rest. And when the body rests, it means you're able to participate in other activities in a healthy way. So when you've done to physical well-being, it comes now to emotional well-being and the social well-being. As you've said earlier, there was the anxiety, feeling depressed. So you also limit. Actually, the research is saying that If I'm looking at some sites in social media, and every time I'm feeling discouraged, I'm feeling anxiety, I'm feeling angry, stop watching them and follow, And the best part is unplug. Get moments where you unplug. You carry your Kadude phone and you do it intentionally. Like I am not going to go on social media. I'm unplugging for my well-being. And I know it's not easy, but I could attest for this year, for the whole of January, I decided to unplug my TikTok account. I never went on TikTok. I chose intentionally so that I can be able to be present, because of after having a self-reflection, I decided, let me take back. So I also I know whenever I'm on TikTok, or I also have a podcast, and I told myself I will not be looking for followers. I'll not be looking for people who have seen my content, because I realized it becomes a source of anxiety, because you're asking yourself, you've spent time, you spend finances to give people information, but how come people are not watching, people are not following? So that when it comes to digital well-being, you choose to spend less time on social media intentionally. If you need to make an app, then you can make that app. Then you can make that app and see what is it that I want to do, okay? You see what is it that I want to do. So basically, up to now, that is what I could say the session has been. I had made some references, but I think with the misbehaving nature of my machine, it has made the references disappear. But the references I got from the National Institute, Hospital Institute, I also got them from APA. APA is American Psychological Association, where they do a lot of research. It's a research-based institution, and also got some from an educational center. There's also some from McLean Hospital Organization, where they did this research. Also, a lot of research has been done by WHO on how they can limit, how they can see, how they can make an impact for people to know their digital well-being. So I'm concluding at that point. For those who have not had my introduction, I'm Nora. I am a counseling psychologist, and I'm practicing as a hospital psychologist. I'm a character coach and a work wellness coach, and also the founder of Vijana Kushamiri. For us, we do a mind gym. We invest on people's positive strength, because we know life has given us a share of its own sides. So we invest on people's strength so that they can shamiri. Kushamiri means you flourish. So part of this is what we do as Jijue Kushamiri, and even getting to understand social media intelligence is now using the information, using the knowledge to build us, to make us grow, to learn, and to flourish with a purpose that you have achieved for yourself. Thank you so much, Mr. Paul. I give it back to you.
Thank you very much, Nora. Thank you for that enlightening presentation. I'm not seeing any question yet. Is there anybody with a question? You can put it in the chat. We have a few minutes, maybe 5 or so. If there is any burning question or comment, it will be welcome. Going once.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Nora, I have a little concern about when you say that social media or some children listening to stuff online, they are able to have speech. But what I know from doctors is the more someone is listening to social media, it's when it trains their speech. So I don't know. I wouldn't advise that, but I stand corrected. I'm just confirming. He said it can help with speech, but what I've seen parents told is that it is affecting their speech. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's also, that's why I said it's still on research, because some people say, some research is saying, and you see then the challenge has to still depend on the Western researches, where you find some people, I'm not, okay, when I was saying speech, I did not mean like starting to talk. You know, for children, they use, what is it called? This show that they use, the Cocomelon shows and all that. For language, I could say if it's learning a language, for instance, me as a person, I want to learn a different language. I'll use social media. So social media doesn't mean necessarily at TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. So the definition I gave for social media, I used the APA. So using internet-based communication. So communication that you're using through the internet, that becomes social media. So it can be Zoom. I know there's Kahoot, there's Google, there's Teams. So in that aspect. So for what I was saying about the children is, it's also different because their brain developing is different. So there are those, I'm saying there are those two cartoons that children are being given to see. Whenever you're in the hospital, you say a child crying, then they are given Cocomelon or those babyish cartoons. So you'll find some children starting to mimic those words, to mimic those languages, they start talking. But it's not based on my research. It's not based on what I have seen evidence. It's just based on what I have studied. But as I've said, it's always open for more research. It's open for more of evidence-based. And I'm feeling even us as Africans, we can start doing our own research based on that. Thank you for pointing that out so that I can make that clarification.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Catherine, for that. And thank you, Petronilla, for your comment. Organized, clear presentation. Kudos. And I think at this point in time, we just want to say thank you. I don't know if Dr. Eda, would you be in a position to just say thank you? Now we have, then we go. Yeah. If
Yes, and presentation. Social media can really be a source of stress. In fact, it has been given a word, something called doom scrolling. You can find yourself just scrolling and scrolling to the next stressful message, stressful images, talking a lot of hate. So we need to be very conscious in self-care about our use of social media, because it's part of self-care is taking care of your emotional and psychological health. So you need to distance yourself from negativity and focus on positivity. So thank you very much for that. And maybe we can be more deliberate about the time that we spend on social media. And if we may need to spend time on social media, we should look for those who create content that is uplifting, that is going to help us become better people, rather than focusing on negativity. Because what you consume, you become. It's just like food. What you allow into your mouth becomes your body, and the way you look and the way you take care of yourself with diet, exercise will affect the way you look. In the same way, your spirit and your mind are affected by what you consume on social media. Yeah, so thanks very much, Nora.
Thank you very much. And I think that is a good point to stop. Petronilla, would you be gracious to say closing prayers for this platform? It's Good Friday.
Sorry, I'm on the road. I can't. Like I'm walking.
Thank you. It's okay. People walk and pray. I don't know whether umetoka way of cross. Otherwise, we can. I don't know if there is anybody who would like to volunteer that, but we can say, may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ and the love of
And the
God
love of God
and
and
the
the
fellowship
fellowship of
of the
the
Holy
Holy
Spirit
Spirit
be with
be
us
with us
now
now and
and
forevermore.
Forevermore.
Amen.
Amen.
amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Thank you.
Thank you all, and let's do it again next month, first Friday of the month. That is when we meet. We do that every first Friday of the month, and we are happy to contribute in any small way to the growth and development of our country, of our youth, of our society. And we wish you the very best. Thank you.